Okay, tonight's shir has been dedicated by Mr. Joseph Javid in memory of his professor, Mrs. Edith Gordon Zupnik, whose anniversary of passing was this week, and in memory of Zev Baruch Ben Rav Yitzchak. The anniversary is tonight. Shem should have an aliyah, a good intercedence on behalf of their families, B'Sei Klal Yisrael. Also one dedicated to Yonatan Mallinger's Babe. Anniversary passing is tonight as well. So yesterday morning, I'm passing by the, not sure what it's called, on Robertson. People which aren't blessed with perfect health are living there, and they're not perfectly healthy emotionally, intellectually.
Drugs too. Really?
And as I'm passing by, I hear a man who I thought noticed me. He says, "Dr. Sheker is coming." Sheker in Hebrew means falsehood. The doctor of lies is coming. So I'm like, whoa. This guy, we must have met before. I mean, what is it? What did I do wrong? And I did look around, like, and no one else was there. And then he said to, but then he was serious. There's apparently a doctor, his name is Dr. Sheker, and he said to us, "Are you going to go see Dr. Sheker?" I'm like, oh, okay, it wasn't me. Now the Baal Shem Tov says everything you see is by divine providence. Everything you see. And I was thinking,
you saw this guy with Dr. Sheker. Today you see.
Yesterday also, I got a email from someone who was probably the nastiest email I ever got, and the Rebbe once said that it's time to talk to your spiritual mentor when someone wrinkles their nose at you. When someone wrinkles your nose at you and says to you, like, "What's going on?" It's time to talk to your spiritual mentor and see maybe something has to be fixed. And so you get a nasty email. The right thing to do is, well, maybe the person's words have some merit. Maybe you should fix something. And I looked through the email, I looked through it again, and I realized that there's nothing there. It was totally like he had something bad for lunch that day. I don't know, but like every single point he mentioned was like in baseball, going, gone. Like it wasn't even like related to reality. So my first reaction was I should email him back and tell him, it's but Baruch Hashem. My life experience has taught me to be a little bit more like Abraham Lincoln, who, when he got these kind of letters, he would write down the response, and he would put it in his drawer, not send it back, because the person's Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah. So it's a lot of times people are saying something to you, but they don't really want to respond. It has to do with something which is inside of them, and this was clearly what was going on. But on the other hand, I was thinking, Baal Shem Tov says, everything you see is a message from God for you. And I was trying to think about what the message might be. And I realized an obvious thing that I think which is pertinent to everybody in many, many ways. And that is how powerful we are affected by people's words about us. Whoops. I'm going to get knocked down when someone gives you the wrong word. There was a husband and wife, they went to a therapist. And the wife says to the therapist, "My husband never says he loves me. Never." So the therapist turns to the husband and says, "Is this true?" The husband says, "It's not true. Before we got married, I told her I loved her, and I said to her, if anything would change, I will let her know." So that obviously is a joke, but unfortunately a lot of people are very, very hesitant before saying something nice. Sometimes when you give someone a kind word, you say something nice about somebody, you might feel like you're detracting from your own self because you're putting another person in the spotlight. And someone who doesn't have a healthy self-esteem, it's very hard for them to say something kind and good about somebody else. There was this artist who just graduated, and his master said to him, "I want you to hang one of your portraits in a nearby gallery. And I want you to write in the portrait, if anyone has anything to say about this that they disapprove of, please write it over here." And he put up the portrait, and within an hour he had like 15 criticisms about his portrait. He goes back to his master and he's like, "I guess I'm just a failure. I tried. I thought this was nice, but look what everyone's saying. Like, I'm hopeless." He says, "Try something else. Put up a portrait and write in the portrait of anyone has any. I'm a new artist, just made this painting. Anyone has any advice on how I can improve on this next time, or I can make this better, please put it in. Not one comment on this portrait, because a lot of people, unfortunately, they feel a little uncomfortable saying something kind, but very comfortable to criticize and to speak negatively. That's what the point that this teacher wanted to impart to his student is that don't be so impressed by negative words that you may hear. And the Sefer Yetzirah says these words. He says there are three things that are good for the ears. Three things that everybody likes. Everybody likes compliments. Everybody likes praise. Everyone likes to hear good words about themselves. Number two, everyone likes blessings. Everyone likes to hear a bracha. I was in this guy's office once, and he was telling me how he's an atheist, and how he doesn't believe in this, doesn't believe in that, and it's all okay, whatever, I didn't see much room for a conversation. Okay, I'm ready to leave. I didn't really agree with him, and I believe in God, but it's time to end the conversation. And before I leave, he's like, "Oh, Rabbi, can I have a blessing?" Like, whoa, one second. Well, it doesn't mean the blessing can't hurt. The blessing can't hurt, so that's made just in case. So everyone likes hearing a blessing. Everyone likes hearing good news. Everyone likes hearing something that's good about them. Everyone likes hearing something good that happened. So in this week's Torah portion, we find an extraordinary praise given that's not given anywhere else in the Torah. God tells Noah, beginning this week's Torah portion, you are a tzaddik, you are righteous, you are wonderful. And there's no one else in the Torah that receives that kind of praise. There's one other guy, Moshe Rabbeinu is not called a tzaddik by God. Aaron is not called a tzaddik by God. The only one that God singles out and tells him, you are my tzaddik, you are totally righteous, you are so wonderful, is just Noah. We do find that Joseph is called a tzaddik, but not directly by God in the second person. God's telling him he's a righteous person. He's described elsewhere in Scripture as a tzaddik. But the only person that God says to him straight out, you are righteous, is Noah. And the question is, why do we find this by him specifically? There was something unusual about Noah. Even before, right when he was born, his father named him Noah because the word Noah is the same as a word for grace and favor and kind. And the reason he named his son that way was different opinions. Some say that he saw that his son was special with divine inspiration. Some people say that he knew he was special because of his fingers. It said, the fingers. Yeah, exactly. It says that when Adam and Eve ate from the tree, so God said to them they were going to have to, by the sweat of your brow you should work, and everyone after that time was on their fingers were attached. They weren't after they ate from the tree. After they ate from the tree, until Noah, no one was able to separate their fingers. And the reason for that is because since God told Adam, you're going to have to plow the earth, it's easier to plow the earth if your hands are like a shovel. But after Noah was born, when his father saw his child, the two things he saw about his child. One opinion is that Noah was the first person born circumcised. He was born circumcised. And there was a tradition that the first person born circumcised would be the one who would rectify the opposite of the blessing that was given to Adam and Eve, and which was that people would have to work so hard and they wouldn't be able to plow the earth, and this was, they would have to really be sad about their work. And when they saw that Noah was circumcised, they knew that this was the one. Another opinion is that just the fact that he saw his fingers were separated. Why were their fingers together? Because they had to plow the earth. He saw this guy was different, and therefore he knew this guy was special. He knew that his son was special. That's why he named him Noah, which also means grace and favor. Grace is a little more than beauty. Grace means like you see something inside a person that's special, not just an external beauty. So his father saw this really great stuff about his son, and that's why his father called him that name. And there was something special about him. But why did he get to such direct praise from God? Why did God give him such a high, deep praise?
What was the third thing? You said praise, blessing,
and good news. People like hearing good news. As I say, Yetzirah. Okay, so let's look at what Noah had to contend with in his life. By the way, not everybody praised him. It says in the Talmud that if there's a rabbi, everyone says something good about him, it means he's not doing his job. Because why is everyone saying nice things about him? Because he's not really making a move. He's not really asking people to change that much. Oh yeah, he's wonderful. As soon as you start digging under someone's skin and stepping on their shoes a little bit, then
I'll come to your office.
Thank you.
Very welcome. Does that mean that Noah's parents were also tzaddikim?
It doesn't say about his parents that he was tzaddikim.
I don't know, tzaddikim were righteous people. I mean, they recognized that he was. And
Well, according to the opinion which says he had prophecy, you must say that there was something there.
They all had prophecy when meeting each other.
Right, but this is before the Torah was given. Anyways, the reason why Noah was given such praise, first of all, I also mention that not everyone thought he was so great. Even commentaries in the Torah, some interpret the words tzaddik. He's only a tzaddik in that generation, but compared him to Avraham, he is nothing. And they compare Noah to a beautiful fragrance. That compared to if the fragrance is put down next to a garbage, so it smells much better than the garbage. But if you put that fragrance next to some even better fragrance, then that's not so significant. So some say that Noah was called a tzaddik just compared to his generation, but God definitely singled him out and wanted him to know that God thought that he was a tzaddik. And the reason is because Noah had to contend with a formidable challenge, an awesome challenge. He had to contend with a flood. And tonight's Rosh Chodesh Cheshvan. We're just now making the transition between the holiday season and getting back to day-to-day life. We had a little taste of it this week after being a little bit in the Ark last couple of weeks. We had 3-day holidays 3 times in a row. So it was really, you really experienced the holiday season this year more than other years. And now, tonight, it's the beginning of the new month, and Chassidic philosophy tells us that this transition is like entering into a flood, into a flood of worries. Financial concerns and worries are compared to a flood of water. So just like when a person has to contend with financial worries, it's something which is a real challenge. It's something which really wears a person down and can do a lot to a person. So too, there's also, when God brought the flood, there was water that came from the earth, there was water that came from heaven. Some people don't have to contend with financial concerns. They are wearing the clay kodesh. They're wearing the holy task of caring for their community and doing things altruistically for the sake of others, for the sake of their community. And there's a lot of great waters there. Like we have over here Rabbi Kunin from Chabad of Larchmont. He has a lot of. He I don't know if he has any financial concerns. No, nothing like that, right? But Chassidus should never have any.
This is Rabbi Kunin.
Rabbi Kunin. Chaim Rachach. Only good news from now. Every week, Gashmis V'Ruchnius. But in addition to the waters that come from the earth, there are also waters that come down from heaven. There's also worries that you get because of spiritual things. So what do you do about all these great waters? What does God tell you to do when you have these great waters that want to sink you? They are drowning you. So Baal Shem Tov said that the words that God told Noah are instructions for each of us. What did God tell Noah? Go into the ark. In Hebrew, the word for ark is the same as the word for word. Teva means ark, and Teva means word. So God told Noah, you have all this difficulty. I want you to go into, not just say, not just mutter the words. People have a problem. We discussed this, how we think that prayer is saying words. Prayer is not saying words. Prayer is talking to God and really believing what's going on, really believing the words you're saying. God told Noah, put yourself into the words of Torah, put yourself into the words of prayer, attach yourself. The Baal Shem Tov said that every Jew could achieve the highest level of attachment to God by believing the words of prayer that they say. And the Baal Shem Tov said, just like God promised Noah, that he will be saved, his wife will be saved, his children will be saved, and all of the family will be saved, so to each person, when you have the great waters, what do you need to do? Enter into the ark. Go into the words of Torah. Go into the words of prayer. Don't be affected by
Don't stay in the dark, get in the ark.
Thank you. Don't stay in the dark, get in the ark. That sounds good. Okay, good. Speaking of the dark, actually, I wanted to mention something else. God told Noah, another important point, very connected, thank you very much. God told Noah, bring light into the ark. Bring light into the ark. The word for light in Hebrew is tzohar. It's an unusual word used for a light. There are other words that Torah uses for light, but this is an unusual word. The word tzohar has many other combinations. Tzohar could mean light. If you switch the letters around, tzohar means tsara, means problems. Tzohar, Baal Shem Tov says, also the letters of the word ratza, which means desire. And so the Baal Shem Tov said, if you desire, if you have a passion for God's words, the words of prayer, you put yourself into them, then God will transform your tzara, your difficulty, into tzohar, into light. As Baal Shem Tov said, that the problem itself becomes a source of light. It's incredible teaching. Baal Shem Tov says in the Torah, it was a time of trouble for Jacob, and he was saved from it. So the simple meaning of that verse is, Jacob had a problem, and God rescued him. Baal Shem Tov said God saved him from the problem. The problem itself was the source of the cure. How do you get there? How do you switch that around? Is by putting your desire into the words of prayer.
The niyot and the yimot is the same words.
Very nice. Obstacles and sweetness
The yimot.
is the same letters in Hebrew. Very nice.
Ba'im,
So way you get there is by putting yourself into those words of prayer.
So it's like putting the
Ratzah into the Teva.
Makes it so
Putting the Ratzah into the Teva, into the words of prayer, putting the desire into your words, that transforms. And by the way, the waters don't sink your boat. The waters lift your boat. Just like by Noah, the waters lifted his boat, so too, the very fact that you have all these concerns, financial, spiritual, and that itself motivates you when you have a chance to pray, wow, I want to daven. When you think of when you're in that, going from the dark to the ark, as you say, when you're going from the dark, your ark is uplifted. God also told Noah to actually bring light into the ark. What did he actually have to do? So there's two opinions in Rashi. Rashi says one opinion is he had to put a window in the ark. Another opinion is that he had to bring this beautiful stone into the ark, the stone that emitted light. Now both of those opinions don't really solve the problem of darkness in the ark, because first of all, the sun and moon didn't work. They weren't functioning during the time of the flood. And second of all, even if you have this great window and it covers the whole side of the ark, I mean, there's many rooms in there. Hey, Dad, which room are you in right now with the bright stone? I need to get to the living room. Dad, can you come and pick me up from my bedroom? You have just one stone. How's it going to help everybody? So, basically, what God was telling Noah was not the way to bring light into the ark. God was telling Noah to bring additional light to the ark. Noah brought candles or oil, whatever he brought, but God was telling Noah, bring additional light. And what the idea of additional light is a spiritual thing. God was telling him, you have all these waters, you have all these concerns, make a window. Try to see God's hand within your concerns, within your anxieties. Try to see where Hashem is watching you and guiding you with all this stuff. And eventually, if you do that for a long time, you'll notice God's hand in a vivid way. God will show it to you more. Your life's experiences will become a bright stone. Your life's experience, instead of it being a challenge to look for God's hand, will be something which is like natural. Like, oh, you know what happened to me today? The previous Rebbe said these words. Remember these words. The previous Rebbe said every Jew could look at their last day and week and realize that God's watching them. He could see it, because they could see how things turned out totally different than the way they expected them to. They could see how things worked out in a way they had no idea how things would work out, and they did. Every person could look at different events in the last day and week and see, wow. So just look for it. But you have to open the window first, get conditioned yourself, eventually it becomes a beautiful stone of inspiration.
Why didn't the sun and moon work?
That's, yes, how come the sun and moon weren't working during the flood? It says in the Talmud that just after the flood, God promised Noah that he would never again stop the seasons from continuing. So the Talmud says that during the flood, the seasons weren't working. There was no summer, there was no winter. But I want to mention something else. This is the most important thing. Before God told Noah to go into the ark, before God told Noah to build the ark, what's the first thing God said to Noah? Noah, you're a tzaddik. He had a formidable challenge. He had something incredible to do. And a lot of people in our lives, which are, whether you're the breadwinner of the home, and you got to deal with the financial stuff, and it's a lot of pressure on you. And wouldn't it be great if that a significant other in your life would tell you, I know who you are. Not if they said you're a tzaddik. If they said you're a tzaddik, then you would say, you don't mean it. But if they pointed out your virtues, if they said it to you, by God saying to Noah he was a tzaddik, God created a reality. God made him into a tzaddik. He was special before, that's true. But by God saying to him he was a tzaddik, God showed him how much he believed in him. That made Noah believe in himself. That made Noah believe, I could do this. I could go into the ark. I could build this ark. I can make this happen. I could be the only one that's different in the whole world because I know God believes in me. God thinks I'm a tzaddik. I want to tell you an incredible story I just heard this week. Rabbi Baumgarten, all of a sudden, he was the Rebbe's emissary to Argentina. There was a boy in the yeshiva who was caught smoking on Shabbos. And on Shabbos. And Baumgarten thought, well, this is a red line that shouldn't be crossed in the yeshiva. And he thought, well, this guy doesn't belong in the yeshiva. He says, I'm sorry, you have to leave the yeshiva. He didn't know what else to do. He wrote to the Rebbe about this. The Rebbe responded, look in Avos Rav Nosson. I don't remember what chapter it was. There it says that Aaron HaKohen, Aaron the high priest, He would see someone doing a terrible sin. What would he do to that person? He would hug him. He would smile at him, and the guy would be like, "Why is Aaron smiling at me? If he would know what I was doing, he would never smile at me." But he would smile at him, and the fact that Aaron smiled at the person made the person believe that he wasn't so terrible. It made the person believe that he has something good in him. So it's so important to tell the Noah in your life how special they are, how much, and to find their goodness and bring. And let's say you don't see such goodness, by you saying it, you uncover it, you reveal it. Huh? Well, the truth is, getting back to Aaron Akain, it says that Aaron would change the truth for the sake of peace. And the Rebbe noted, what do those words mean? Changing the truth for the sake of peace. It sounds like a lie. Changing the truth for the sake of peace. So the Talmud explains, when Aaron would see two people fighting with each other, he would say to Reuven, Shimon is so sorry for what he did. He wants to make peace with you, and it wasn't true at all. But it was true. You know why it was true? It's called changing the truth. The Rebbe said he didn't lie. He changed the truth. What does that mean? He was talking about the truth, but a deeper level of truth, because there is good stuff there. There is good stuff there. On a deeper, and Reuven's soul is an incredible thing. The teaching of that Rizal, incredible. You hear this once, you're not going to forget this. Here you go. The Rizal said, if you find someone in your life you're always like rubbing and you're always butting heads with, you know what that means? That not only, we're all brothers, but that person is the other half of your soul. And that's why the special tikkun, the way to fix your soul, is by you fixing up your relationship with that particular person. So, how do you fix that, though? Is by being the first to have the bravery and the courage and determination to say a kind word about the other, especially that person is a Noah. If the person's a Noah, then they have a lot of challenges, and they can't contend with them unless someone believes in them. Only when Noah had to build the ark did God tell him he was a tzaddik. When Noah had other things going on before he got that mission, he didn't need to know he was a tzaddik. All of a sudden, when he had to do that incredible challenge, then God had to, and be different than everybody in the world, then God had to tell him, Noah, you're the man. I believe in you. I know you have it.
500 years.
Right. He was 500 years old. Right.
For 500 years, it didn't tell him he got it.
Right.
That's
Right.
a long time.
Well, don't wait. Don't wait. Don't fight 500 years. I promise you, the person in your life has great waters. Whether they're great waters from heaven, they're spiritual waters. Whether they're great waters from earth.
What's the right quote?
I'm saying that every wife who's listening to the shir should say a kind word to her husband, and every husband say a kind word to his wife, and every son say a kind word to his father, and every father say a kind word to his son, and make them feel good. And you'll see that your praise will create that reality and make them a better person. Find the good in that person. In schools today, they have these things on report cards now. They don't tell you. They don't tell you. In report cards, there are different things that teachers can write about their students. There's one thing the teachers cannot write anymore. It used to be you could write this. Now it's
Unsatisfactory?
No. That's for sure not. They can't write needs positive reinforcement. No, that's forbidden to be written on a report card. You know why? Because everybody needs it. What are you talking about? Like say something that's meaningful. Therefore,
We grew up in an era where they didn't have this.
okay. This is also.
We had a stick.
Okay, well, but what about if someone in your life needs to be told off? What if someone's making a big mistake in their life and they need to be told? So first of all, I want to tell you one thing.
Go to the Munich.
The last time the Rebbe spoke, last time we heard the Rebbe speak, the Rebbe said these words. The Rebbe said that in regards to your own service of God, there's two areas you have to cover. You have to turn away from evil, and you have to do good. In regards to somebody else, there's only one area: help them do more good. Unless you have a relationship like a father and a son, and then the person will be receptive to you. Otherwise, don't look at the negative. Just speak about the good in that person. Don't try to help them become better. Don't speak about the negativity. Don't try to fix negativity. This brings us to the later on this week's Torah portion. We read about the story of Noah getting drunk. Noah gets drunk, and his three sons react to his getting drunk. He's there lying naked on the floor. Torah says that two of his sons, Shem and Yefes, they turned their face away and did not see the nakedness of their father. On the other hand, Cham, he was the opposite, and he spoke about it, and he spread the word. So first of all, Torah is telling us, you see someone doing something negative, don't talk about it. Don't speak about some negativity. Don't be like Cham. Number two is, look at those words. Think what those words mean. Shem and Yefes, they turned their face aside, and they did not see. Of course, they didn't see nakedness. Their father faces turned away. How could you see it? So the Baal Shem Tov explains that everything you see is a message from God. Sometimes you have a fault, and the only way you can notice your fault is by seeing it in somebody else. Another person, Baal Shem Tov says, is a mirror of yourself. And the mirror is to tell you, sometimes you see negativity in someone else, and you see that negativity to tell you about your own faults. 1 second. Maybe it's about the reason I'm shown this is just about them. God could just tell me myself directly. You just tell me, I'm ready. What is it? What I have to fix? It's this, it's that. I'll fix it. Tell me directly. God can't tell us directly. You know why? Because self-love covers all faults. You can't notice your own faults. The things you know about, but you discount them because that's the nature of self-love. But in someone else, you don't have self-love, and therefore it's easier to notice another person's faults. That's actually the meaning of the words, "Love your fellow like yourself." The Hillel says what those words mean is, what's hateful unto you, don't do to someone else. Why do they say negative? Love your fellow like yourself. That means what's hateful unto you, don't do to someone else. Hillel was telling us the ultimate way of loving someone. What's the most hateful thing? What kind of person? Some people, they tick you off, okay? But some people you don't want to be in the same room with. You know this person you don't want to be in the same room with? Someone who knows your faults. And someone who's expressed to you that they know your faults. You don't want to be around that person. Don't you know your faults yourself? You do. But you don't want to be exposed. Because your self-love can cover it. So the way to love your fellow like yourself is, you love someone else so much, you don't notice their faults. That's the meaning of love your fellow like yourself. What's hateful unto you, you hate to be exposed, be the same for someone else. Don't notice their faults. Love them in such a way that you don't notice their faults. That's what. And then, by the way, there's a big reward for that. God does the same thing. When God sees His children looking at each other that way, then God also ignores our faults too. When you're able to ignore the faults of someone else, and because of your love for them, you're able to uncover the fact that you guys are family and you're brothers and sisters. If I'm able to feel that way about someone else, then God says the same about me, and He ignores my faults. This is the meaning of Shem and Yefes. Their faces were turned away. They didn't see the nakedness of their father. Didn't they? Of course they did. They went to go cover him. That's what they did see it. Shem and Yefes, they just saw what has to get done. They didn't feel the evil of their father. They didn't feel this is a horrible guy. What's he doing with himself? He just saved the whole world. Now he's getting drunk. What's the matter with him? Shem and Yefes saw there's something has to get fixed. When you see a fault in someone else, do you feel the negativity? Do you feel the evil? Do you feel the dirt? Or do you just feel like I have to help that person? Do you feel, oy rachmanis, so what a poor guy, I have to help that guy out? Or do you feel, so that's a question about your reaction has to do with what God's message is for you. If you just feel, how can I help that person? Then the message of God is just help that person, do something for that person. If you also feel like, oy vey, how can that person, this is horrible, you're appalled, that means there's something else that's going on. A guy comes to the doctor, says to the doctor, everything hurts, everything. My nose hurts, my eye hurts, my mouth hurts, my teeth hurt. Doctor says, we gotta fix up your finger. So sometimes you see a fault in someone else, it's because you have it yourself, and that's really what Mashiach is all about. When Mashiach comes, we're going to feel like a family. We're going to feel like such a family that automatically will feel that kind of self-love for others. Someone once told me, Ahavas Yisrael, love your fellow, means to be selfish for someone else. When Mashiach comes, we'll feel literally such a love for others that we won't notice their faults. Automatically we'll be a happy family. And the way to prepare for Mashiach is the same, by seeing the good in others and embracing it and looking for it. And that's what I want to share today. Any questions, comments, criticism, tomatoes, cucumbers? Hey, Michal Bloom. It's your birthday, right? Happy birthday, Michal Bloom.